so much love last week that we wanted to make sure that we got back with you. Now, this is being broadcast right here on my personal page. It was supposed to be on my business page, but we will get that shared momentarily. And again, so many of you had questions last week. And again, we just wanted to get back with you, let you know that we wanted to come back so that, again, we could get the questions answered. So right now, you might want to go ahead and share this with some of your amazing friends who would want to know about Louise Gittleman. And right now, just so you guys can get to know her as I do, you might want to go ahead. We would like everyone to tell us a little about yourself. Tell us, how you got involved in health, where you went to, why you went to school, and decades of research that you've done.
Well, that's such a good question. That's a $24,000 question.
It is.
Even more. I've been interested in health and healing since the age of 14. I had a grandmother that died at the age of 40, and we didn't know what she died from. She was the grandmother that I was named after. Her name was Anna. And all I know is that she contracted a mysterious virus while on vacation in the Catskills. And after I heard the story of how she died so mysteriously, I said to myself, there's got to be an underlying cause to all disease. So I made a pledge way back then to find out the underlying causes of disease and make sure that people would be healthy and happy till 120. And that's why we're going to live till 120, because we have found one of the fountains of youth. And I've written about that in a brand new book called
Radical Longevity. And we'll make sure you all have the link for it as well, so that you can get this book on pre-order. When does it actually hit the stands?
It hits the stands May 11th, but there's a pre-order, and we've got 3 downloads, Denny.
We have 3 free downloads that we'll be putting in the comments for you as well, that you can download today. A couple of them, just to give you an idea of what they'll be. And Louise, why don't you explain these as I hold them?
So this is the life-saving at-home assessments to turn back the clock. These are the ways that you can figure out if you're getting older before your time. And I link to all the ASEA products in here.
You do.
It's curated.
So let's talk about these. We'll get back to these. And while we're coming on, and many of you are jumping on, if you had some questions from last week, we'd like you to go ahead and put them in the comments. We're going to try to get to as many as we can, talking about anti-aging, healthy living, from the inside out, outside in, exercise, things that you want to be doing, maybe also foods that you should be eating.
And foods that you shouldn't be eating.
And foods that you should, which is just as important, right?
Absolutely.
As I always say, it's not only what you do, but it's what you're not doing that's going to make a difference in your life as well. And you guys, if we're looking in both places, we are live on Instagram as well today, because we've had so many people from both platforms wanting to ask questions and get things answered. So the second free download that you'll be able to get today from your Radical Longevity will be
hidden dental infections that trigger premature aging. And this is important because health begins in the mouth. If you've got a lot of root canals, a lot of mercury fillings, that can impact what happens in your microbiome. So this is the entry and the exit of real health.
Wonderful. And your third free download for today, again, all of these links will be in the comments. They'll also be put up in the introduction as well.
What does this say? Biological versus chronological age test. We're going to find out what your biological age is. And now that you're drinking ASEA, it's going to be 25 forever.
Now, for those of you who are going, what's ASEA? What is she talking about? Anne Louise, you were just introduced this product for a few years ago. And what is it? What is ASEA to you that got you interested? Tell everybody what ASEA is.
It is the only source of innate redox signaling molecules that actually simulate what's in your own body, that you start losing as you get older, as you get sicker, as we're involved with the environmental pollutants. And this is the only thing that I found that could really help me cope with my very bad symptoms after a very near fatal concussion.
Well, and I've been drinking it now, Anne Louise, for about 11 years. And it's amazing. My husband and I both come from families of 7.
Bless your heart.
And bless our parents' hearts.
Bless your children and your parents and your ancestors.
That's right. And, when you were to line us up, even with all of our siblings, it's dramatically different how we look, even how we act, how active we are athletically, and what we can do, even little things like gray hair. Who doesn't want to maybe have less gray hair? But so much we can tell you about that as well. So you know what, just to start the day off right, which is what I do every single day. And since we're so glad that each of you are here, We thought
we would
cheers.
toast to your health.
We would toast to your health, because that's what we're here today talking about, is radical longevity, living younger, longer, more vibrantly.
And stronger.
Cheers, everyone.
L'chaim.
And if you have some in your kitchen, why don't you go get a shot with us? Okay. All right. So Anne Louise, let's talk about redox as well. One of the favorite things that you talk about is that your DNA is not your destiny.
No, especially if you're taking the redox signaling molecules. Now, what I learned from doing the book, Danny, was really extraordinary. The healthiest things that we do are taking elements that actually act as redox signaling molecules in and of themselves. That's where glutathione comes into play. That's where nitric oxide comes into play, and lithium, so important for the brain to reverse Alzheimer's. It's a signaling mineral. So when they talk about signaling, a signaling mineral or molecule can actually reduce, repair, and restore all kinds of aging aspects. So that's why I think this is so important. But this is really not even a vitamin, not even a mineral. It stands in a class of its own. So redox signaling is the key to health.
It is really the key to health.
And restoring health and repairing health.
That's right.
That's what radical longevity is all about.
You know, and for years we had actually taken these molecules, put them in a spray bottle, sprayed them on our face all over, and the company actually then concentrated it, and we now have it in a tube of gel. And it's also amazing. Not only is this what I put on my skin every morning after taking a shower, and every night.
I put it all over my body.
And I put it all over my body as well.
It's and the back, the front,
the sides, everywhere. It's amazing what
I brush my teeth with it. Am I allowed to say that?
You can brush your teeth. Yes, you can. And it's amazing. I can also put in the comments some of the things that this actually does. And if you've been getting a result with either the ASEA, Redox, or the Renew 28, please go ahead and put that in the comments. We also like to tell people, if you have areas of discomfort where you're tight or stiff and not feeling very well, rub this on 3 times in 5 minutes and watch what happens. You know,
so this is good for adhesions, and I write about that in the book. I wish I had known that. My God. Well, this is good for internal scars. It'll get rid of that tightness when you're glued together. It feels as if your tissues are all glued together. Just put this on topically. So we take it internally and topically. There's no product under the sun that can do what this does.
Well, and Anne Louise, I wish I had a picture. You know, 2.5 weeks ago, wow. I dumped scalding hot water that had crab legs in it on my stomach.
I saw that.
And you know, I'll put this picture in the comments as well. And it's amazing how my stomach has.
Did you use this or this concentrate?
I have used this every single day, about 10 times a day, and also the serum that's even more concentrated as well on this area. So I'll put my before and after pictures down in the comments for you to see as well. Kathleen, thanks for sharing. Share this all over. We want as many people to be seeing this as we can. The other thing, Anne Louise, so you know, when you first were introduced to ASEA, you just said, Denny, I have to share this with everybody because it was so foundational.
Dr. O'Neill, Dan O'Neill, big shout out. I forgot his name last week. He was the one that introduced me to it. And then I was introduced to you. And so I'm introducing it to the world. This is the first time I've written about it as a primary part of the protocol in radical longevity. It's highlighted in one of my radical rules. It's big. This is major. We want the whole world to know about this. Not enough people know about this, my friends, and everybody's interested. This is a huge arena. Repair, restore, regenerate your health from the inside out, the outside in. This is the easiest way you can do this because this is what nature put in your body in the beginning.
All right. I agree, Anne Louise. And that's why this is the most foundational thing that I use every single day.
Inside and out.
Inside and out. And then I add good nutrition supplementation. I exercise, drink a lot of water. But I've got a couple questions that have come in for us, and these are nutritional questions.
We love it.
So Anne Louise, it says, tell us about wheat. Should we eliminate that from our diet, or only if we happen to have an allergy?
What a good question. A lot of wheat is sprayed with glyphosate, which is a very popular weed killer, and it affects glycine, which affects your brain. So I would say stay away unless you know it's non-GMO, totally organic.
Wonderful. The other thing you want to know is, Anne Louise, what do you like to eat on a daily basis?
Anne Louise loves to eat.
She does love to eat, but what are things that you choose to eat and things that you disregard eating?
So let me tell you what I eat. I eat a lot of protein. I eat organic, non-GMO protein. Number one, I eat a lot of vegetables. Number two, I don't eat a lot of salads unless I make them myself because I'm concerned about parasites, especially if I go out to eat. I eat 1 to 2 fruits a day, mostly berries, apples, and pears that are in season. I
So
eat
1 to 2. So
1 to 2, 1/2 cup or one small apple or one small pear.
So certainly more vegetables than your fruits, right?
Ton of vegetables, not as much fruit. I'm not a big believer in a lot of juice, although I gave you a special juice recipe, but the weather is getting warmer, so it's good to cool yourself.
Everyone loved that juice recipe last week. Would you like to repeat it?
So 2 ounces of beet juice, 2 ounces of carrot juice, 2 ounces of celery juice, and 2 ounces of cucumber juice for the natural silica, because silica neutralizes aluminum.
Wow, that is so interesting.
Very important for you to know. I do not eat a lot of grains.
You don't?
No.
So what grains do you eat?
I don't eat any grains.
Oh, you don't?
I personally don't eat it, but I found a grain free. I want to share this.
Okay, you guys, she brought this from her kitchen.
I brought this from my kitchen because I couldn't wait to share this with you. I found this when I was doing the research for radical longevity. This is chestnut flour. Right, let me see if they can see it.
All right.
This is chestnut flour. I use this instead of any kind of almond flour, which is loaded with oxalates, or coconut flour. I use chestnut flour, or I use chestnut flour, and then there's another one that I use, which is a tuber, and I'll think of it in a second.
Okay. Do you remember?
No, they'll come to me in 2 seconds.
Okay, wonderful. So a couple of things about our ASEA.
Tiger nut flour.
Tiger nut flour. Thanks, Anne Louise.
Siberian tiger nut flour.
All right, let me keep a couple more little facts on our Renew 28. The ASEA Renew 28, this whole body gel contains life-giving redox signaling molecules, which signal your cells to heal and renew. In an independent study from Dermatest, we found out that 100% of the users reported smoother skin and a decrease in fine lines. I certainly have experienced that as well.
I see that around my neck.
Absolutely. 95% of the users had noticeably firmer skin. That's why we put it everywhere. And at our age, gosh, and I'm proud. I mean, I'm 55 this summer, and we're
going on 25
and going, and in our 70s here again, it's about living younger longer. 90% of the participants in the Dermatest study had noticeably firmer skin. 90% saw a decrease in visible photo damage skin. 90% experienced a more radiant skin, which is certainly something that I've experienced as well after years of coaching and teaching swimming. And 85% showed a visible decrease in the number and the depth of wrinkles. And
that's huge. No, there's no product on the market that can say
with
that.
Only 4 ingredients. You guys, if you can't say all the ingredients that are in your products, that's a problem. Only 4 ingredients, and it does all of this.
Unbelievable.
And talk about things that we're putting on our body that have toxins, Anne Marie.
So we're talking about a lot of shampoos that you're putting in you. We're talking about fingernail polish is probably the most toxic because there are a lot of xenoestrogens. We're talking about phthalates in perfume. You should be using essential oils. Mm-hmm. We're talking about all kinds of nail polish removers. We're talking about a lot of moisturizers with mineral oil in them. There's all kinds of things that you're putting on you. We're talking about essential oils that you're using to actually freshen up candles, which could probably be very synthetic. So you need everything that you want to simulate what the body is naturally provided for you, which is why the ASEA supplements are so important on a daily basis. They repair and restore. A lot of people can use some of these things as a Band-Aid, but they don't repair, restore, and regenerate. This is restoration medicine at its best.
Wow, I love that, Louise. You know, and for those of you who are just jumping on with us for the first time, would like to know a little bit more about what this ASEA Redox is, here's a little bit of a brief over for you, the essence of what is ASEA. ASEA is a company that offers a heavily patented, groundbreaking technology, a major health and anti-aging breakthrough that allows us to supplement our diminishing internal supply of critical messenger molecules called redox cell signaling molecules.
I love that.
What does it do? Everyone wants to know, what will it do for me? Supplementing these molecules powerfully enhances the body's own remarkable ability to actually heal itself. Mm-hmm. You know, again, a third-party independent placebo-controlled human trial showed ASEA caused increased activation of dozens of genetic pathways, up to 31% in just 8 weeks.
Marvelous.
Associated with, and then we'll talk about this, improving immune function, producing digestive enzymes, controlling inflammation, regulating hormones, enhancing vascular health. So, and Louise, why don't you touch on just a couple of those topics with the immune system and the genetic pathways?
Well, we know at this day and time that immunity is everything. My first radical rule in radical longevity is immunity is everything. So if you're taking some of these innate molecules that are in your body in the first place, but that we start to lose every year of our lives, you're actually replenishing what Mother Nature gave you. That's why I think it's not unreasonable to think you're going to live till 100 and beyond.
Well,
especially if you replace those redox signaling molecules with this particular product. Now, how much should we be drinking a day? Debbie?
Now, the studies
I'm taking now 16 ounces.
Oh, you're doing 16
after last week. I'm increasing.
Well, maybe for a short time. We recommend that you take 2 ounces twice a day.
But I'm so tired with doing so many interviews. Is it okay to take
well
more?
She's doing so many
morning, noon, and night. I just did real simple. The other day I did bottom line. I did epic times. We're working on glamour.
Oh my gosh, Ann Louise, you're amazing.
So I'm taking 16 ounces, but I suggest that anybody that's kind of under the gun takes more.
I agree.
And less is not more in this case. More is more.
I need to drink more just to keep up with Ann Louise right now. So also I want to tell you, again, under times when you're under some stress in your life, a lot of physical activity, we do recommend that you drink more, but our studies were done on 2 ounces twice a day.
And then they've raised it to 4 ounces.
To your health. I drink about 8 to 10 ounces a day. So ASEA has been able to recreate and stabilize these molecules, which we call redox signaling molecules, outside the body in a bioactive, bioavailable form. These are something that your own body creates.
And we lose them because of age, number one, infection, radiation, and the environmental assaults that I write about in the book. So you have to replace them on a daily basis because they're being lost at a faster rate than
and we lose about 10% every single decade.
Oh, decade.
So by the time we're 70, drink. Yeah, that's
I got to be drinking now 32 ounces.
So again, what this is actually doing is it's actually turning on the antioxidants in our body. You know, for years, we've known what a buzzword antioxidants are.
But it's a precursor to glutathione.
That's right. And so when you're actually turning on those antioxidants in your own body, imagine what it's doing to help repair
skin, hair, and nails from the outside and the inside out. But I love the fact that it can help your hormones. Because one of the issues when you grow older is that your hormones go south.
They go south. But let's talk about that. By the time we reach puberty, actually, things are actually declining for us, right?
They're declining in our 20s in this day and age.
That's right.
It's such a toxic environment. So even the 20-year-old should start preparing for old age now. And this is the best way to prepare.
Right. And so that is where the problem is when your cells aren't communicating correctly. And for the first time really in the history of the world, that's why we have something. And Ann Louise, I know that you told me often when we first got started, you would not be here with me today, putting your stamp of approval with your year if you didn't fully believe in this product.
If I didn't believe in the science, this is evidence-based, everybody. There's not every company under the sun that takes out a test the way that ASEA did to do the clinical research to show that this impacts 5 genetic pathways. I mean, that really impressed me. And the integrity of the organization. I mean, people get back to me, they explain things to me. I have questions morning, noon, and night. Somebody always gets back to me. I love the marketing people. I love you. I love the ASEA distributors that are out there, the associates.
We do.
We're like one big happy family.
So, you know, to put it in a really simple analogy, if you think of every cell in your body, and you are made up of over 75 trillion cells, isn't that amazing? Of your body is like a light bulb. And as we age and with environmental toxins, as you mentioned, and with what we eat and what we drink, those signals, those signals in our bodies, they start to get weaker. So by adding fresh new redox molecules, you are strengthening those bars back up to the signal so they can communicate.
Our bandwidth is increased.
Our bandwidth
I like that.
Our Wi-Fi signal is increased. So we've got a better cellular communication between each cell and within each cell. So again, just a little explanation for each of you here. So Ann Louise, talk about also, people wanted to know last week, what are some other supplements that you take on a daily basis as well?
I take extra vitamin D because we live in North Idaho. I don't believe that there's flu season and cold season. There's just lack of vitamin D season. And that's between October and March.
And how many IUs are you recommending people to be taking?
I take tests and I'm taking between 5 and 10,000. Most days 10,000 IUs.
I do 10.
Now I know that some of the products that ASEA puts out there contain vitamin D, but I think you may need a little bit more of any of the nutrients. A little more vitamin D will be very helpful.
Wonderful. And what do you think of RSC nutritional products?
I think they're excellent. They're bioavailable. They're not toxic. You know, the liver has to detoxify all these synthetic vitamins that people are taking, so I'm all for it. I especially love Biome.
I love the Biome. Let's talk about probiotics.
Well, probiotics are exceedingly important because your second immune system is in your gut. So a lot of the bacteria from your mouth is going to go into your gut, and unless we neutralize it, you got to crowd out the bad guys, put back the good. And it's essentially important if you've been taking antibiotics or eating food that may give you secondhand antibiotics. It's another necessity like vitamin D.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You know, again, what I have found as well is that this product helps our supplements that we take work better.
It acts like an adaptogen.
Mm-hmm.
I love that word. And you know what I love? I love the Life Max. You know why? Because it has broccoli seeds, it's broccoli sprouts, and that's a high source of glutathione and sulforaphane. So everything that they've put in there has shown a lot of insight and a lot of foresight. They're really working for your future health today.
And, you know, and Louise, that's, you know, when you mentioned that, that's why I take ASEA. I always say, may I never know what I'm preventing by my 75 trillion cells working and communicating correctly. This is an investment in not only myself right now, but my future self.
It's an investment in your future self and your future health.
That's my also talk about when you've often said that your biology is not your biography.
Because I think you can overturn and overrun anything that the genetic hand has dealt you, quite frankly. And I told you that I have 3 nutritional pathways, the 3 detox pathways that are blocked based upon my genetic MTHFR. So I have
tell us about that.
Well, I took a test years ago, and I wish I sometimes didn't take a test. Because a friend that reviewed the test said to me, you wouldn't be around if you weren't involved with nutrition.
Wow.
Because I just don't have the ability to detoxify. So when she said that, I really approached ASEA and said, I've got to become your brand spokesperson. I've got to become a brand ambassador because I really have to live on this stuff. And I find that I have more energy. I sleep better. My skin is clearer. My skin is stronger. My neck wrinkles are going away. I have no more brown spots. It's all because of this.
Let's talk about sleep.
Sleep is
Let's talk about sleep. Who doesn't want better sleep?
Better sleep.
And you know, it's interesting.
More sound sleep.
More sound sleep, deeper sleep, more restorative sleep. You know, that's why
I ground myself every night as well as taking the ASEA.
Well, tell them about that.
I ground myself. I have it's a little wristband that plugs into the wall. It's the electrical grounding, and that just gives my body all these neutralizing electrolytes and electrons that can tamp down inflammation. It's an anti-inflammatory measure because you can't go outside and put your bare feet on the earth in this day and time. So I do this electrically.
I love grounding as well, being outside and
I wish I could be outside more. You know, I'm a city slicker.
Yeah, she is. I love her anyway, even though I'm a country girl. So, and Louise, also, let's go back to sleep, how important that is.
Restorative sleep before midnight is really very important for the gland, for your growth.
Is that why my father always said nothing good ever happened after midnight?
He's right. My father was right. God bless him. May he rest in peace.
But I do love, and I've heard it's actually worth every hour is almost worth 2 hours of sleep.
I believe that has been shown to be true clinically. I personally wake up once a night, but with the ASEA, sometimes I wake up and go back to sleep a lot faster.
And if you do happen to wake up, I do recommend people just take a little bit more, just an ounce or 2.
Oh, I love
and it's
that.
amazing how you do fall so soundly asleep. And what people often tell me is, Denny, I'm dreaming, I'm having these crazy dreams.
Deep dreams, technicolor dreams.
Which mean what?
That you're having a much more restorative sleep, restorative regeneration.
And you're in that REM sleep, right?
And you're in REM sleep. And that's what we all want to attain. I find that with the ASEA and the grounding, it's my be all and the end all.
Right. Let's also talk about, as we mentioned in some of those statistics by Dermatest, that the reduction of inflammation in the body. How important, why is that important?
Because inflammation has been found to be the underlying cause of most disease and autoimmune issues that we see, because it's coming out of the woodwork. So if you can tamp that down, your body can better fight off the assaults that it's being dealt on a daily basis. So keeping inflammation down with an anti-inflammatory diet like Radical Longevity, as well as the ASEA, is really your ticket to anti-inflammation, period.
So it really does come down to the things we're thinking, the things we're putting in our body, the way we're moving our body. How important is that as well?
Movement is important. You've got to be moving to get things flowing, and to get your body was meant to move. It's not meant to sit. So if you're at a desk, you have to be standing rather than sitting. You have to be stretching every half hour. I do 10 to 20 jumping jacks every hour.
Do you?
I do.
Good for you, Anne
I
Louise.
do that because I'm not natively an exerciser. I'm a dancer, by the way.
She's a dancer.
I'm a former go-go dancer.
We'll do a dance next time. The other thing, some of the health hacks that I've really enjoyed from Anne Louise is my cran water. So talk about the lemon water in the morning, of course, cran water as well.
So lemon water is very important to kind of tone your liver and your kidney to get your palate ready for the day. Very cleansing. It's kind of like your internal cleanser.
And how much? A half of a lemon, whole lemon?
The juice of a half a lemon and 8 ounces of water. You want it to be warm water.
And why do they want warm water?
Because it's much more soothing for the digestive tract. You don't want to freeze the digestive tract and make it a shock.
Even talk about warm water when you're having a meal compared to cold ice water.
Because cold water shuts off the digestive juices. You want to be comforting and you want to be healing and you want to be nourishing. And then the cran water, which is my signature, I introduce again in Radical Longevity, but I have a cranberry elixir that you take on a daily basis where I've added some spices and some special juices to really jazz it up. It's a cranberry elixir for Radical Longevity. You have us live beyond 100 and 120.
Well, and let me tell you what I do every single morning. I take 8 ounces of unsweetened, like Knutson's cranberry juice.
Oh, you're doing the pre-Radical Longevity.
I do the pre-radical.
She's doing the
She'll teach me.
BRL.
I'll get up to
before Radical Longevity.
And then I actually then pour 7 more 8-ounce cups into a big 64-ounce beautiful jar on my kitchen counter. And I just make sure I drink that. There's my 64 ounces. And then I drink actually another 64 ounces.
You should see what the new recipe is in Radical Longevity. When people pre-order, they'll be able to see that recipe when they get the book.
All right. Well, be watching for that.
Well worth waiting for. And that's very helpful because cranberries are very high in polyphenols, very important antioxidants that we're very deficient in. So it's going to be a real win-win for everybody.
Wonderful. Well, everyone, we're just about at the top of the hour. And let me think if there was another quick question that someone had wanted to ask. And we will go back in the comments and get back and answer questions as well. And this has been shared to so many platforms here. I can't even find them all. Also, Anne Louise, tell us about, someone had asked about what are your favorite nuts?
My favorite nut
and maybe nuts that you don't think are quite as good for us, perhaps.
So I adore macadamia nuts because they're high in monounsaturated oils and they're much more stable to air, heat, and light. So you want macadamia nuts. Almonds can get rancid quickly. Peanuts are kind of neutral in that regard, unless you're allergic to peanuts. And I love pecans and I love sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds because they get rid of worms. We have to constantly be thinking about parasites in our system, especially now that it's liver time. We want to detoxify with toasted pumpkin seeds.
All right, wonderful. And then how do you like to store your nuts? That's important as well.
In the freezer.
That's right.
Everything goes in the freezer.
Everything goes in the freezer because they can go rancid.
Especially this, my new flour, my tiger nut flour that I happen to forget about, my tiger nut flour that I'm now remembering, as well as my chestnut flour.
All right. Well, Anne Louise, also a couple of people asked me if perhaps in the comments I can share a couple of your favorite recipes. That we can do that later, that we'll put in the comments, okay?
Yes, I don't have them off the top of my head, especially we'll take some of them from one of my new cookbooks.
Okay, well, we'll do that. Well, listen, we hope you all enjoyed your time here with Anne Louise. I know I certainly do, and we'll be doing this every few weeks, getting more questions answered for you just on healthy, on what? Just on
health, well-being, body, mind, and spirit, because we want everybody to enjoy good health. We want everybody to be vibrant. We want to extend your use span, not extend the period of slowly debilitating.
I agree. You know, I've always tell people, do you want to live longer or die longer? And I certainly want to live as long as I can, vibrantly and healthily.
With grace, with guts and gusto.
That's right. And lots of grit. Also. Well, listen, we hope you again have a great rest of your day. Make sure that you go check out Anne Louise's new book, Radical Longevity. We'll have that down there so you can quickly find that link, and we'll be back in the chat getting your questions answered. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.